A beautiful evening, everyone. Actually, it's morning already. What am I talking about? It is a beautiful morning, early morning for me. And thank you so much, David, for inviting me to feature again. The last time was 2022. Feels like a decade ago. But thank you so much. And for everyone who had read and who will read, thank you so much for your gift of courage because what we do, gosh, it's never easy to bear the soul out there. So thank you. My set is, I think people who would usually know my set would be like, are going to be kind of weirded out by it because it's somewhat hodgepodge, which I don't really do. But I want to do something different this time. So I I do have a few pieces that I have written, and my photo is gone there. Um, I want to do some pieces that I've written earlier uh, last week. So um, this goes for all the poets out there and wordsmiths. The curse of the wordsmith. How unfortunate it is to be a poet, the one who can fling a lifetime in a line that can't be buried long enough to stay in a moment's certainty, to have the verses arrive only to be written by someone who lives with the chasm of leaving. As the next poem authors a fleeting that has memorized the art of being left behind, the insatiable hunger of a genius of being lost, dreaming of a home that can never know who can be owned by the next page. Yet, the poet yearns for a destination of being found. But words only understand motion, and poetry its most pedantic movement, and the poet its greatest servant, and the mystery of their journey endless. Thank you. For my next poem, um, we love talking about our lives in our poetry. So I do work for a U.S. company that does taxes and payroll for corporations. So and I'm off today. I was sent home from clinic yesterday. So and banned me from going to work today. So apparently the company loves its employees, which is great. I actually love the company. So and where is that? Oh, there. This is the poem that I wrote, and this goes for all the people in the business processing outsourcing industry anywhere in the world. The title is called Call to Order. The call arrives the way empires do, with a soft chime and a warning hidden under courtesy. Thank you for calling payroll support. My name is yours for the next few minutes. How may I provide excellent service today? He clears his throat, like a man straightening a flag, says, Buddy, I just need a little adjustment. Just a small fix in the system. Nothing illegal, really, if nobody gets hurt. I pull his profile from the glowing mouth of the screen. Employee, ID, state, taxes, overtime, exceptions. A neat American life itemized in blue tabs. The kind of life exported through movies and sanctions. He says, I forgot to clock out last night. What I meant is I worked more than that. What I mean is my manager owes me. What I mean is bend the numbers until they salute me. Outside my window, the Philippines is waking again. jeepneys coughing smoke into Ortigas dawn, vendors unfolding tarps like tired prayers, while somewhere across the ocean, his company earns in 1/4 what my whole barangay will never touch in bloodlines. Sir, I understand your concern. I do apologize for the inconvenience. However, we are unable to manually alter recorded timestamps without documented approval from your administrator. The script enters my mouth like occupation, carefully calibrated vowels. American politeness wrapped around a locked door. He laughs softly, not angrily yet. The dangerous kind are never angry first. Come on, man. Help me out here. It's just data. You people handle this stuff all the time, right? You people? There it is. The border crossing the line before he does. He tells me about fairness, how corporations steal from workers every day, how rules are flexible for people at the top, how morality should make exceptions for him. And I think of all the countries taught at gunpoint that freedom means opening their veins to foreign markets, all the republics audited by missiles, all the children mining cobalt for batteries, so another nation can tweet about ethics on glass screens. He says the system is broken anyway. You know that, don't you, man? Yes, sir. I say it the way hostages nod on camera. Because my American employer trains us carefully. Protect the client's confidence. De escalate. Never accuse. Never threaten the sacred ego of the customer. Even when he is asking me to forge reality itself. The call timer climbs. Each second another grain in the offshore hourglass. My voice measured by warmth. My empathy scored by software. My silence audited by invisible supervisors. He starts talking slower now. The tone managers use before layoffs. The tone diplomats use before invasion. I'm just asking you as a human being. As if humanity only begins when America needs something bent. I imagine him in a clean suburb, coffee steaming beside dual monitors, a flag somewhere nearby, a nation built mastering the loophole, calling exploitation partnership, calling extraction development, calling obedience democracy. Sir, unfortunately, that would violate company policy. I can submit a dispute ticket on your behalf. Your administrator may review the request within 3 to 5 business days. There is a pause long enough for both our countries to fit inside it. Then the sigh. Unbelievable! No wonder nothing gets done there. And there it is again. The old empire disappointed, the servant would not falsify the map. He disconnects without goodbye. My headset clicks back into silence, another American gone from my ear. But not from my wage, not from my syntax, not from the nightly ache of performing gratitude. After call work begins, I document everything truthfully. Employee requested unauthorized timestamp, modification, agent advised policy limitations, caller declassified. The notes save automatically, like history written by whoever owns the servers. The next call arrives. Another voice crossing the Pacific for cheaper labor. Another citizen of a nation that teaches the world how to smile while being taken, how to moralize while feeding on hunger, how to call coercion leadership, until even our own tongues begin defending the knife. Thank you for calling customer care. My name is Chris. Are you our next imperialist? Thank you so much. By the way, I can't hear anything. My mic is being weird today. So um, I'm just gonna check if there is any well, like no stop. Okay, okay, great. So there's no stoppage. Okay, great. For my next poem for today, this one I love talking about my country. I'm proud of my country. I love this motherland so much. The people, uh, that's up for an argument. Um, but our country, one of our well-known icons, is the jeepney. Those American World War II military jeeps, we turn them into our main transportation mode of transportation in the country. And this one is for all of us who commutes. The title is The Hands That Carry Home. I enter the belly of the city, where a metal beast waits with tired bones, painted in colors brighter than the hunger beneath it. And I climb inside carrying my own small storms. The jeep moves like a wounded animal, pulled forward by engines coughing smoke and memory, hauling the weight of strangers who become relatives. For a few kilometers of borrowed time, my shoulders touches another shoulder. My silence rests beside another silence, and somehow the road teaches us a language that no classroom ever dared to explain. We are family built by traffic lights, by the road pauses that trap our dreams together, by the green commandos that send us running again toward homes we keep imagining from the window. The driver pulls a jeep through the veins of Manila. His hands are the hands of a farmer and a father hauling a country that has been breaking for years, hauling people who still believe in arrival. Coins travel from palm to palm like small prayers with metal skin. A stranger passes the fare forward, and another stranger receives it like a promise. Thank you, Kuya. Thank you, Ate. Thank you to the tired bodies that holds this moving shelter. Thank you for carrying me when my feet forgot how to continue. Because every ride is a small act of faith. 1,000 lives squeezed into one narrow road. 1,000 names breathing the same polluted air, yet hoping for the same quiet miracle that we will all go down safely, that we will all step into the pavement alive, that this Jeep will finally rest its heavy bones after carrying pieces of us it never owned. And when I descend from the metal beast, when my hand releases the railing, I leave behind a family I never met. But I know somewhere in the traffic, somewhere under the rain and the burning sun, there is another Jeep being hauled forward, another group of strangers becoming human, another city learning how to carry itself. One stop, one breath, one goodbye at a time. Yeah. Um, One of the things, we all have our signatures, right? As poets or as writers, we have like, oh yeah, that's a very Finn Bell thing to do, or that's a very David Serrois style. And it's interesting that David earlier mentioned Neruda. So what I usually do, I love doing, is I borrow the technique and style of another poet, and then I make it my own. So this one, I don't know if you guys don't know that Pablo Neruda, is missing Sonnet 31. He doesn't have a Sonnet 31 among his sonnets. We do not know what happened to it. Maybe it's lost. I don't know, somewhere. But what I did was I made one for him. So I'll do the Espanol and then I'll do the English version afterwards. I also translated in Tagalog, not Filipino, Tagalog. So this one is in Espanol and giving respects to Pablo Neruda's mother tongue. Soneto 31 de Neruda según Lacan. Te hablo a través de la noche callada, donde ríos murmuran bajo la llama. Mis palabras son hojas que no llevan tu nombre, y temblan el aire de tu mirada. El cielo recuerda tus ojos perdidos, como brillan entre tormentas que no veo. Cada estrella es un susurro que me llama a morar donde tu aliento es amanecido. Te he amado en la lenta vuelta de la tierra, en cada sombra donde mi sangre ha corrido. Tu ausencia es mar y mi alma aún espera. Mi piel, la orilla donde tu voz yace herido. Si el silencio es la lengua del querer, la tuya es mis días, mis labios, mi piel. Thank you. The English translation of that is Neruda Sonnet 31 as per Lacan. I speak to you across the quiet night, where rivers hum beneath the moon's soft flame. My words are leaves that fall without your name and tremble in the air of your delight. The sky remembers your forgotten eyes, the way they shine through storms I cannot see. Each star becomes a whisper calling me to dwell where your breath turns into sunrise. I have loved you in the earth's slow turning, in every shadow where my heart has bled. Your absence is a sea, my soul still yearning, my blood a shore where your voice lies unheard. If silence is the language love must speak, then yours is all my days, my lips, my cheek. Thank you so much. Now, for my next poem, um, I I've always been in love with stories and of other people, other cultures, um, and one of the stories I love um, are the overseas Filipino workers. There are estimated 12 million Filipinos who are working outside the Philippines, from nurses to engineers to um, manning the seas in cruise ships. And this one is actually for my cousin who has lived in London for a very long time. She's head nurse in one of the hospitals in London. And this one goes to her. To Baguio with love. Annie left the mountains for the London fog, a baby still in milk, a toddler barely learning her name. She said, Mama will be gone just a while, but the while grew into 10 long years, and then another 10. Each morning, she ties her hair, pulls the white uniform over weary bones, serves milk, sings lullabies to British children who call her kind and gentle, while her own no longer knows her voice. In the evenings, she bathes the elderly, their skin soft as prayer paper. They tell stories of visits and Sundays, and she smiles, pretending she remembers what Sundays feel like. Her mother waits in the house by the pines, the hands that once held her now tremble. Annie sends vitamins wrapped in brown tape, like buying boxes filled with London soap and a scent of love she cannot deliver. Letters keep her breathing. Ink becomes heartbeat and blue aerograms. She writes a fog that moves like longing, of how she counts days by night shifts and always ends with, I love you, written twice. Sometimes a child laughs in the ward and she turns, thinking it might be hers. Sometimes the rain on London glass sounds like Baguio mornings calling her name, but she cannot go yet. If she could choose, she would not have gone. She would have stayed, but being a mother is a duty that never ends. To serve is to love from afar. To give is to vanish quietly and hope the giving is enough. So Annie, like laundry, carries it from shift to shift, and when the night bus hums her to sleep, she whispers their names into the dark. The missing hums back softly, and it never dies until she does. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much. Speaking about nurses in London, um, 20, 28% of all the nurses in the NHS in the UK are Filipinos. So imagine if all Filipinos would go home, the entire health system of the UK will fail. But we do love to serve. We love making people happy. We love family above all. Um, and um, this poem I'm going to read next is from an upcoming collection, full collection that I will be releasing. And I know that Trump will hate me to death. And a lot of historical history revisionists will like try to like murder me. But well, truth be told, it must be told. So the book that I am releasing is about the atrocities of the United States in the Philippines from 1898 to 1946, and every single poem is backed by historical data. This one is titled Unfair. America said the islands were bought fair and square. $20 million counted across the table, as if a nation could be folded into a receipt, as if mountains and languages could belong to a buyer. In 1904, the ships carried them west, not soldiers, not traders, but men, women, and children encased to live inside a display of a race who sailed the Pacific 500 years before Jamestown. Then Americans trafficked them to Missouri. Someone from the Cordillera, someone who grew up where clouds rest on pine trees, now watched by people who travel hours just to stare. Privilege walk through the Philippine reservation slowly on 47 acres of arranged life. Bamboo huts set neatly like stage props, smoke rising from cooking fires that never feel private. Look here, Someone says, this is what we've saved. A woman pounds rice. While strangers lean close, a child runs past the fence and is pulled gently back. Men carve wood and weave baskets, their hands busy, while hundreds of eyes measured them. The crowd talks in that confident tone like teachers explaining a lesson already decided. See the exposition? This is why America had to come. They call it manifest destiny. They say the islands needed guidance. They say empire is a kind of kindness. But the people inside the village remember older stories. Kingdoms that rose long before Amerigo Vespucci. Oceans crossed by people who doesn't enslave. Still, the announcers gently, proudly said, civilization, they say. Progress, they say. And the crowd gathers when the fires are lit. Someone whispers above about the Igorot, about dogs roasting over the flame. Watch closely, they say. This is what savages do? The word hangs there heavy, thrown easily by people who will go home to dinner. But the man from the Cordillera hears it again and again, like wind that never stops blowing. He breathes the cold night in St. Louis and thinks about mountains that are too far away. Day after day, the gates open. Day after day, the crowds arrive. They laugh. They point as if they're in a class touring a museum. As the fair calls it, education. The fair calls it a window into the primitive world. But when the lights dim, when the electric city grows quiet, the reservation feels smaller. Flames flicker between bamboo walls, and voices soften into homesick murmurs. Some grow sick under a sky that doesn't know them. Some disappear into graves the visitors never see. And outside the fence, music drifts through the bright avenues, celebrating a world that only loves a good joke. While inside the village, the people lie awake, hearing the distant laughter of a civilization that bought them, displayed them, and called the whole thing fair.
Um, David, do I have enough time for one more? Or I'm
Yeah,
good?
yes, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay, I have one more. Thank you.
The last poem that I read, that is about the St. Louis World Fair. And if you read more about it, you will see the Philippine reservation, where my countrymen and women were displayed. Um, and and do tell me what you make of it, and if it's still happening up to this day. My last poem for today is very personal to me. Um, like like everything is personal in poetry for me, but this one is like it's in my heart of hearts, and um, this is actually for my mom. Oh my gosh, my heart with. I love my mom so much. Um, she's actually downstairs. I got her. So our main house is empty, and I got her because I want her to live with me. She's living downstairs. She has a room in my house. So this is for my mom, who I admire so much, who had given so much, like all mothers would. And the title is The Poetry of a Halved Son. I write in first person because that's how guilt speaks. No metaphor between me and the mirror, just enjambment, stretching my breath thin. I am a son, and my mama taught me how to speak silence before she taught me how to spell my name. I am a poet, which is another way of saying my pockets rhyme with empty. My bank account is a blank page, and I believed imagery could bandage anything. I believed love could pass as legal tender. Then life broke its meter. No foreshadowing, no figure of speech, just an accident. A hard consonant to the body, cement, kissing, bone. As sirens revis- revisit our future in red ink. Well, I tried to negotiate with hope, tried to pay in similes, offered my poems like promissory notes, but the cashier didn't read between the lines. And I learned that poetry has no exchange rate. My mama lay there, breathing in short lines, her pulse irregular, free verse. And I kept telling her, I got you. Even when the words cracked in my mouth, even when I knew I was lying to both of us, I watched doctors perform their craft, white coats, clean syntax, while I stood there, a poet with no punctuation for panic, my hands shaking like unsteady stanzas, my heart breaking its own form. I filled out forms like they were elegies, every signature a confession, every total due a verdict. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. Repetition, 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 as if saying it enough times would make it true. But best is a weak verb when your mother is in pain. Best does not cover bills. Best does not quiet machines. Best does not translate to survival. And still, I write because this is the only currency I have left. I break myself into stanzas, hoping one of them sounds like enough, hoping one of them reaches her bedside and tells her what my hands couldn't fix. This poem has no resolution, no clean ending, just a son standing in the aftermath, counting syllables instead of savings, loving his mother in lowercase, and learning too late that sometimes even your best line doesn't save the poem.
Holy wow. Thank you so much. You spoke about courage that uh, it takes to bear our souls when you were doing your uh, introduction and honoring all of us as poets. Uh, it's so moving what you just did, and I love my mother dearly, and I respect and am amazed that you brought her close to you, like in the same house, and that is true uh, filial love. I mean, you must be a great son as you're trying to be. And I love this. There is no metaphor between me and the mirror. Oh my God. Oh, and on the last thing I said, being a mother is a service that never ends. Oh my God. How true that is. Um, if I could quote some more lines, their skin soft as prayer. Uh, every shadow, I think every shadow where my heart has bled. Oh my God. You have the sky remembers your forgotten eyes. Oh, so that line just glitters. Um, and I love how you open with "I speak to you from the quiet night." If I said that correctly, because we all have the curse of the wordsmith, to quote Lacan, and how to moralize feeding on hunger. Feeding on hunger, that is just so heavy hitting because of its oxymoron, but it's so sad. Feeding on hunger, I'd imagine the stomach just growling and consuming itself. Uh, and we are family lit by traffic lights. Isn't that brilliant? I could just see the whole city and uh, traffic lights kind of being a punctuation for movement. And, they set time uh, for people who still believe in arrival. Oh my God. Wow. It must be that the journey keeps on going. And, you know, you talk about another city learning how to carry itself. Oh my God. Sir, that was absolutely incredible. People, just please open your mics and say something, or just clap, or we're in this very tender space of the heart right
Bravo, sir.
now. And
Bravo.
Bravo is right.
Just
Love you,
full
Luton.
respect
That was
and love.
beautiful.
Yeah.
You're a
I,
wonderful son and a greater soul.
mm,
your
Thank
work is my favorite kind of work because it's like really genius craft, but then your delivery matches
mm,
it. It's extraordinary, your talent. This is my
mm.
mom here. We were listening to you together, and I just think you're absolutely brilliant. Brilliant young poet.
Ditto.
Absolutely
Mm.
amazing. Amazing.
Well, you showed the crucible that all of us face when we have to face these questions of healthcare and the expense and the paperwork. And here you are with and I mean, I'm a social worker. I worked in hospice. I saw horror stories being lived out. But you know what you do? You keep love alive. You can see it in your face. You can hear it. And you also, I was thinking of Du Bois, the double consciousness. Like you're talking about how people, the gaze of the foreigner who sees the other and thinks they can define them and that they can use them, and that's such a version of what it means to be a human being, but you did such a good job, like interrogating that, what's taken for the norm. But yeah, you're really beautiful. You know what you are? You're full of love.
Mm, mm,
It pours out of your face.
mhm. The language of silence has taken us over. Oh, wow. So, a couple more minutes of this break, and oh, I will get the recording clips. I actually remembered. I remembered not to forget